Hey there, fellow travelers. Well, a little video I published back in 2020 on Tolkien's view of the Nazis and their ideology has all of a sudden taken off and become my first 100K plus video. That is awesome. Thank you all so much. I just have to say, it's really cool to have been of service to so many in defending Tolkien from absurd claims that he was anti Semitic or pro Nazi or any of that kind of garbage. Few people mean more to me than J.R.R. Tolkien. I truly revere the man and view him as not only the 20th century's greatest author, but as someone I strive to emulate on a personal level. But while the vast majority of those who watch the videos seem to agree with its message, a small segment have raised objections and questions ranging from thoughtful and worthy of response to, well, interesting for all the wrong reasons. So in this video, I'll be considering some common rebuttals to my first video and shedding further light on those issues using Tolkien's own words and the biographical details of his life. The topics we'll cover are Tolkien's relation to South Africa and apartheid, Tolkien's military service record, Tolkien's opinion of Churchill, Tolkien's opinion of Stalin, and the view that Mordor represented the Soviet Union. Before we dive in, please hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and join the conversation in the comments below. So the first objection I've seen is, well, Tolkien was born in South Africa. Therefore, he had to have been racist. Yeah, good point. Tolkien was born in South Africa and lived there until he was 3. Tolkien's father took a job as a bank manager in South Africa in 1891, the year before Tolkien was born. While Tolkien indeed spent the first 3 years of his life there, he returned to England with his mother in 1895, and his father tragically died while still in South Africa in 1896. As for his interest or connection to South Africa in his adult years, we have very little to go on, but in a 1959 valedictory address at Oxford, he said, "I have the hatred of apartheid in my bones." That's a pretty unequivocal statement for someone supposedly on the side of the South African racists. In the end, the attempt to affiliate Tolkien with South African racism just doesn't hold water. The second common objection I've seen is, Tolkien didn't even fight in World War II. The implication here seems to be that Tolkien was, at best, all talk and no action. However, the truth is that Tolkien did fight in the trenches when duty called in World War I. Tolkien participated in the Battle of the Somme and experienced the intense horrors of that war firsthand. By the time World War II broke out, he was 47 years old, well past the age when men have traditionally been expected to enlist for military service, even in a national emergency. Nevertheless, in the run-up for World War II, Tolkien was earmarked as a codebreaker. In January 1939, he was asked to serve in the cryptographic department of the Foreign Office in the event of national emergency. Beginning on 27 March, he took an instructional course at the London headquarters of the Government Code and Cipher School. He was informed in October that his services would not be required. Also, per Humphrey Carpenter's biography, Tolkien did serve as an air raid warden, sleeping in the damp little hut that served as the local headquarters. And perhaps most tellingly, Tolkien supported his sons Michael and Christopher in their service against the Nazis during World War II. As a father of 2 boys myself, I have to say, there's really nothing I could do that would say more loudly I support this cause than giving my sons to it. For some, this just isn't enough, but I wonder what would be. Perhaps for them the only convincing evidence would be video of Tolkien parachuting into Berlin, Mission Impossible style, at the age of 50, ready to personally decapitate Adolf Hitler. While amazingly no such video evidence exists, I still think we have plenty of evidence that Tolkien was devoted to the anti-Nazi cause during World War II. The third common objection I've seen is, well, Churchill wasn't much better than Hitler. Congratulations. You win the Sir, This is a Wendy's award. In other words, this was a video about Tolkien versus the Nazis. Churchill isn't even relevant to this video. As for Churchill, Tolkien didn't seem to write much of him except in passing reference, but he does seem to poke fun at him in Letter 53, referring to Churchill's appearance in the famous Tehran conference as our little cherub who actually looked the biggest ruffian present, next to FDR and Stalin. So what did Tolkien think of Churchill? I really have no idea, and all I can do is speculate. But I know that Tolkien agreed with Churchill on this key point. They both hated the Nazis. The fourth common objection I've seen is, so I guess Tolkien liked Stalin and the Soviets then? This is a weird objection. The logic seems to be that because Tolkien was anti-Hitler, he was therefore pro-Stalin. That's kind of like assuming that Gandalf was pro-Saruman because he was anti-Sauron. In other words, it's nonsensical. But here's what Tolkien actually said about Stalin, again from Letter 53. I must admit I smiled a kind of sickly smile and nearly curled up on the floor, and the subsequent proceedings interested me no more when I heard of that bloodthirsty old murderer Josef Stalin inviting all nations to join a happy family of folks devoted to the abolition of tyranny and intolerance. Tolkien sounds like anything but a fan of Stalin here. At least, I can't think of any bloodthirsty murderers I'm a fan of. As for the Soviets in general, in Tolkien's modern reading, we learned that in 1949 he co-signed a letter to the London Times protesting the Soviet-inspired arrest of a Hungarian cardinal. It seems that Tolkien, for all of his anti-Nazi fervor, was staunchly anti-Soviet as well. And speaking of the Soviet Union, the fifth common objection I'll cover in this video is, you're wrong. Mordor is in the east, just like the Soviet Union with respect to Germany, so Lord of the Rings has to be pro-Nazi. Again, the logical leaps here are simply astounding, but this one is actually directly refuted by Tolkien himself. In letter 229, written in 1961, Tolkien said, "I utterly repudiate any such reading, which angers me. The situation was conceived long before the Russian Revolution. Such allegory is entirely foreign to my thought. The placing of Mordor in the east was due to simple narrative and geographical necessity within my mythology. The original stronghold of evil was, as traditionally, in the north. But as that has been destroyed and was indeed under the sea, there had to be a new stronghold, far removed from the Valar, the Elves, and the sea power of Númenor." While some try to argue that Tolkien's early desire to create a mythology for England dictated all of his future geographical considerations, that claim really doesn't add up. While there are a host of other objections that I still want to address, that's all the time I have for right now. However, in the near future, I hope to address more questions related to my original Tolkien versus the Nazis video. So if you enjoyed this video, please like it and subscribe to my channel. Also, leave a comment telling me what you most enjoyed. I always love hearing from you guys. Finally, if it really helped you out, please consider leaving a tip via the thanks button and/or joining the Fellowship of the Road over on Patreon. Details in the notes. Thanks for watching, everybody, and until next time, the road goes ever on.